US 131 Motorsports Park in Martin, Michigan. The weather actually is really cooperating. It's really nice out. A little chilly for me. I think it's about 50 degrees, but should be good for boost weather. We just got the truck unloaded. We did trailer it in, and I'm gonna go get teched in. Then we will jump in the staging lanes and start making some passes. For the first couple passes, I'm gonna take it easy, just get familiar with it. I'm not gonna launch super hard. Start getting more comfortable with it, because this truck's, I don't think it's ever even been to a track, let alone making passes. As far as what I think it's gonna run, I have no idea. I got a buddy here with a crew cab Silverado 4-wheel drive. His is pro-charged. He just ran a 12.4, his personal best. But like I said, I've never had this thing on the track. If I do 12.99 and keep it in one piece, I will be thrilled. All right, have a good day. All right, we passed tech, no problem. Dude was super cool. All we gotta do now is just tighten up a couple things and then jump in a lane. Well, I was literally just saying that bad luck comes in threes. Black truck motor went out, Suburban motor threw a rod, Goldie Hawn's intercooler clamp broke in tech inspection. Well, that's when we noticed that it was broke. And I did not bring any others because I did not even think about this. So I'm here, instead of sitting in the staging lanes like I'd like to be doing, I'm here fucking with this intercooler clamp, trying to get it back together just enough to hold 10 pounds so I can at least make one pass today. Fuck my life, man. Alright, I think we might have fixed it. Up before I forget. Accidentally smeared my number. That's not good. Alright, we're next. We didn't break anything, but I definitely don't have enough gas in the tank. It's sloshed away from everything. I'm going to pull off to the side here, check all the boost piping and everything, make sure we're all good. They're still making passes, so I clearly didn't oil anything down. But I'm just going to check real quick. Alright, all the piping looks good. We're not leaking anything. Let's see what we ran. But first I'm going to step on the scales, see how much the truck weighs. Before it weighed 4260 without me. I'm about 180. Don't know how much all the supercharger kit weighs. And we are right at 4370. So that's not too bad. That was 4370 with me in it. Huh. Not sure how that worked out. Alright, thank you. Alright. We got a 13.6 at 105. Alright. I raised the rev limiter from 63 to 7 just to get it out of the way. All my shift points are about 63 now. I'm just gonna take it easy off the line and see if that fixes things. Alright, we're gonna look over some things, make sure they're all still good, and then catch a lane and hopefully make at least one more pass. Hopefully this one goes a lot better. We're up next. Fingers crossed everything goes well. I think I'm more nervous for this run than I was for the first one. Alright, pulling up to the water box. That burnout was a whole lot better. Didn't wheel hop like fucking crazy this time. I double bulbed him. I feel a little bad about that. And it just pushed right through the brakes. Fucking lost pre-stage. Had to back up real quick like a fucking retard. Son of a bitch, man. Thank you. I got more mile an hour, 106, 1365. I'm so frustrated. I'm putting it on the trailer. I wanted that 12 so bad. Yeah, unless I went and got more fuel, there's just no point in continuing, and it's not gonna pick up much more right now. But it was consistent, 1360. But it was pretty consistent, 1364 the first pass at 105, 1365 at 106 for the second one. So it picked up almost a full mile an hour, but just starving for fuel even though it has a half tank of gas. So I think we're just going to hit the grandstands, watch some other people run for a little bit, and then probably load it up and head out. It's gonna run. 12. I was thinking 12s too.
Maybe a 10. Yeah, 10s.
9s, wow. All right, we're back at my place, obviously. Finally got that track day in the gold truck under the belt. I'm not gonna lie, I got pretty nervous a few times, but everything went really well. I was genuinely worried that something was gonna break on the truck. Well, something did actually break. Luckily, it was just that intercooler clamp. I was able to get that fixed. I'm half disappointed, half relieved with how the truck did. I've got the time slips here. We can talk about them in a second. But first, a little bit of mail time. I am looking into setting up a P.O. box because I have had a lot of you guys ask me if I have one and say that you guys want to send me something, which is super flattering. There's really no reason for that, but if you feel compelled to, I appreciate that. But this comes from Z_Hightower13 on Instagram. So you guys can check him out, give him a follow. And in the video where I put the new windshield on Goldie Hawn, they weren't able to save my Texas Speed sticker, so he said he had a few left over. He sent me a couple. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Now my windshield's gonna be representing again. And he sent the a different keychain. I've got one of their keychains, but it's not that one. And the Texas Speed business card, which I'll probably just staple to the wall somewhere. Anyway, point of the video is obviously taking the truck to the track, so let's talk about that. I just wanted to give props where props are due. So like I said, the truck did really well. I was worried that something was going to break. I've heard horror stories of people with stock drive shafts throwing them at about 100 miles an hour. Luckily that didn't happen. Everything stayed together. It does have new U-joints in it, so maybe that helps. So one more thing before we move on to the time slips. I did park on the scales while we were at 131, and their scale at 131 said with me in it, it was 4370. I'm really surprised, but I'm pleasantly surprised. Anyway, we can move on to the actual pass now. So stock converter, so I wasn't able to get a really good launch. The first launch, the 60 foot, was a 224. Now the truck had this issue that I thought was fuel starvation, because when I put the fuel pump in it, I kind of screwed up and I just ended up cutting the bottom of the bucket off. Like when you think of the fuel bucket, imagine like a bucket here where all the fuel, all the return line goes in and it dumps it in this bucket so that the pump submerged in here. Even if the fuel sloshes away, the pump always has fuel going into it. Now when I put the pump in, I ended up cutting that off for reasons that I honestly don't quite remember why I did that. So what I thought was, as I was launching, that the fuel was, even though I had a half tank of gas, that the fuel was sloshing away from the pickup and it was starving for fuel and it cut. And then once the fuel resettled, I was able to get back up and go. But now that I'm looking at some of the log, I think the issue might be that I was maxing the absolute fuck out of my fuel injectors. I've got some 60 pounders in it right now. I'm definitely gonna have to upgrade to at least some 80 pounders. I really thought that the 60s would be enough, but on E85, clearly not. Anyway, with that excuse out of the way, in the 8th, I went 895 at 84, which honestly, the fastest the black truck went was 81, so I'm faster in the 8th with the gold truck than the black truck was in the quarter, so that's nice. Let's see, my 1,000 foot ET was 1150 at 95, my quarter mile ET 1364 at 105.63. Clearly is making good power. It's just the stumbling during the pass that's obviously that's really fucking it up. But yeah, that was the first pass the truck has ever made at a drag strip, and it was deep 13s, over 100 miles an hour. So I was pretty happy there. I wasn't too upset. And then the second and unfortunately the final one that I made. Now the things I changed were I had a thought that maybe what I thought was the fuel cut might have been like a rev limiter. So I went in, looked at my shift points. They were all 6,300 RPM. My rev limiter in gear was 65. So I thought maybe it could have just bumped the rev limiter and cut it out. So what I did was I raised my rev limiter 7,000 just to get it out of the way. Looking at the log, the truck shifted right at, let me see, 6,350. So that's pretty fine. But it still did the that like fuel cut thing. I'm pretty sure it's just the injectors completely maxed out. My 60 foot for the second pass, 225, about the same, even though I completely, oh man, pushed right through the beams. That, oh man, I was, for the first pass I wasn't on the converter at all. I left pretty much right off idle, and for this one I was trying to get up on the converter a little bit, get closer to like 1,000, 1,200 RPM, and just immediately it pushed right through the bulbs, and man, that immediate regret. Anyway, once we actually were able to get off the line, we went 6.0 to the 330, 9.0 to the 8th at 84.84, 11.53 to the 1,000 at 96, and the quarter mile was 13.65 at 106.58. So again, we picked up almost a full mile an hour and went a 100th slower. So I know that there's a lot left in this truck. Upgrade the injectors, install converter, and just as a little fun side note, there are online calculators that you can use to estimate your horsepower based off, in this case, your mile per hour and your weight. Since I did get it weighed and I do have an exact mile per hour, When I punch that up into TCIauto.com, there's also Wallace Racing has one. I just wanted to try a couple. They were both pretty similar. When I put in my 106.58 mile an hour at 4,370 pounds, that estimates the horsepower at the wheels at 412 horsepower. When you calculate for drivetrain loss, that's about 515 horsepower at the engine. This is just a fun estimator. Obviously, you can't put a whole lot of merit into it, but it should be kind of close, at least in the neighborhood. So I can at least say 400 at the wheels is a safe assessment, 500 at the crank. And if you go back to one of the videos installing a supercharger, I think I might have said that I thought it would make about 550 horsepower, so we're actually pretty close to that. At least we got the first track day out of the way with it. Nothing broke. That is a miracle. But before I end today's video, one quick update on the Suburban. I went back over there yesterday, pulled the oil pan off, looked at everything. It turns out I am actually not a liar. It does have a bent rod, which is a bummer. It's not as easy a fix as just popping it apart, throwing some new bearings in there, but it's still not a huge deal. It looks like the only thing that's hurt is the rod. The piston looks fine. The crank, there's one spot where it started to graze it. I really think we can get away with just putting a rod in there, and I'm going to put new bearings in there just for peace of mind while it's apart. But I'm genuinely not worried about it. It's all part of hot rodding. Stuff breaks all the time. Pulling an engine, it's not too big a deal anymore. But this just means that there's hopefully some entertaining content coming up. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next time.